Hey, this is Jim, and I am back with you with another NDI November SI Spotlight. We have reached out to some of our top system integrators in the industry and talking to them about how they use NDI technology to solve the production needs for their clients. Matt Baker is no stranger to the show. He is with Visua and Virch, I believe is how you pronounce it. Yep. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Matt, thank you for joining us again, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. One of my favorite times of the year. I get to be thankful for lots of things, eat lots of turkey, and talk NDI. So good one.
Absolutely. It's a good one. And we've got some great stuff to share with the audience today. Matt has been on NDI November with us before and was a recent guest on a sports streaming show that we did as well. Today, we are going to share some special tips and tricks that Visua has offered their clients and some of the things that they've run into in the production world, of course, using that NDI technology. We are going to talk about how you can quickly and easily use NDI to help set up a camera anywhere, how NDI can help you solve problems quickly, even using the game clock, and we'll get into some more details on that. And then, of course, setting up a monitor anywhere. One of the most important things to remember is that NDI is bidirectional. So you get both an encoder and a decoder, and we're going to talk between setting up the video sources as well as using that output to set up a monitor. Matt, you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Excited.
Before we get into some of these tips and tricks, do me a favor and please introduce yourself and Visua to our audience tuning in today.
Yeah, so Visua, we are an AV integration firm that we primarily work in the sports and entertainment industry venues. So we've done lots of work in minor league baseball, hockey venues, soccer venues, entertainment facilities like Lux Golf up in Milwaukee. So a lot of entertainment type venues. We do everything from big LED video displays to camera systems, audio systems, anything that turns on, plugs in, operates. We love. So that's what kind of we do at Visua. We also have a company called Virch that does remote production for minor league sports. We did 2,200 broadcasts this past summer for minor league baseball teams and independent and collegiate wood bat teams. So very, very much involved in the NDI space, which has been huge for our company and our clients as we work through workflow challenges on coming up with the best systems to put into these facilities.
So I think it's pretty fair to say with that kind of quantity and that kind of experience, you've learned a few things along the way, right?
Sure. Yeah. You run into just about any kind of challenge you can think of. So you're always trying to figure out, how do I solve this problem?
Yep.
And I mean, NDI has been huge piece of that and being able to help us solve those problems, which we'll talk about.
Absolutely. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today is we talked about some of the different things that you've run into throughout the course of the year. And one of that is being able to set up a video source very quickly anywhere. And with that, we're looking at a patch kit that you've created and you've kind of built to solve that problem exactly, right?
Yeah. So, going into these, we do a lot of renovation of old facilities and trying to upgrade them to the newer technologies. We also do a lot of new stadiums, but often with these old facilities, the pathways have already existed. If you're trying to run a cable from one place to the other, it might be difficult because the pathway might not be there. But oftentimes there's also data ports all over the place. There's, whether they're in like the press box or somebody's office or down the hall somewhere, there's usually all these different data ports where you could easily just plug in an NDI encoder and plug in a camera, and then you can essentially have a camera wherever you want in the facility. So we started to really dig into that over the last couple of years and overcome those challenges when clients are like, hey, I want to add this camera, put this camera in this spot. How do I do that? Well, the easy way is, you can find the closest IDF and run a cable over there. But oftentimes you've got a data port that's right there and we just plug right in. So what we do to help our clients essentially solve problems and come up with solutions on the fly to essentially plug a camera anywhere is we will provide you saw the KiloView, the N5 with some patch cables, and we just we've got hard cases all the time. We throw it all into a hard case, and we essentially create that as a little patch NDI kit for them. So anywhere in their facility where they can plug in to a data port and make sure it's on the same network as everything else, they're able to plug a camera and have that flexibility essentially to have a camera anywhere in their facility that they need. Rather as before, you'd have to home run a cable all the way up the press box, which typically is pretty far away from where you're trying to actually have that camera. So it gives you a lot more flexibility.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of those themes that comes up over and over again when we talk about NDI technology. The traditional alternative when you're working with an SDI cable is it is a point-to-point communication. You have to take your video source and run the SDI cable all the way back to the production system for them to operate and communicate together. With NDI, you can plug into one of these data ports and you can get that onto the network. And now you can pull that network feed from any other device on the network, allowing that production system to really be anywhere.
Yeah, it's created so much more flexibility, and it's why, regardless of whatever workflow that we're ultimately putting in there, we always make sure that NDI is part of it. Sure. Because it gives you that flexibility, whether it's today you want to get a camera here or tomorrow, and how do you solve that problem? So, ensuring that NDI is part of that workflow or in some form of fashion, it gives you that ability to do that and solve so many problems for you.
Absolutely. And it does save money in the long run too. Obviously, running these cables is an added expense. It's a huge labor cost in getting your team out there to do these things. But when you're tying into the network that's already has that infrastructure in place, that labor's already been done for you as well, allowing you to really scale the system throughout these different installations.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a money saver. And, from the client standpoint and also as an integrator, we're also thinking about how we're going to install something sometimes, and having that ability to go to an IDF rather than having to home run a cable, it also saves us an integrator standpoint. And it's just a great solution and very reliable too. So we trust it.
And it's a perfect segue into this user story, kind of a case study that you were telling us about, where you've actually used NDI technology to help incorporate the game clock so that players would be able to see that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason, another big reason why we add NDI into our workflow and make sure that it's incorporated in there is because of that flexibility to solve complicated challenges that you might not have been able to solve without NDI. So my example we give here is the Lexington Sporting Club. That was a photo finish to a new stadium that was opened up back in September. And the morning of their very first game, I get called in, hey, can you help me? Because our locker room clocks aren't here. And if we don't have the clock in our locker rooms, we're going to get fined. What can we do? Well, I knew that we had already the clock on the video boards. They have a couple of video boards in that facility that are outside by the soccer field. I knew we had that. I knew that there were TVs in the locker room, and I knew that there was a data port behind that TV that currently wasn't being used. So I knew we had everything there for us to essentially make this work. And I knew that there was a network that could facilitate that. So what we essentially did is took the output of what's called the motion rocket, which is running the video board, took that output, which you see in that image right there. It's essentially what was on one of their video boards. Took that output, and then we brought it right into an NDI encoder, KiloView that we had actually already inside of the control room in the rack. We brought that into an encoder. And then if you know how an LED display works, is it's pixel to pixel. Yeah. So using NDI, the encoding we brought into a TriCaster, used an ME to essentially crop to the upper left-hand corner, which is pixel for pixel, what that LED screen was. So I was able to do that with NDI, get them into there, and then out via NDI was what we sent that ME to a mix, and then brought that using a bird dog play plugged into the data port behind the TV, used the Bird Dog Play to get that ME, that mix from the TriCaster, which was the video board feed, and on there was the clock, and they didn't get fined for their game. So it was because of NDI and the flexibility of source, signal, destination, how I get something, and having that ability to send it multiple places, I was able to get this up within an hour, no problem at all. Very simple.
That's great. And I love that you ended by saying very simple, because what you just described was using the NDI network to drive the LED displays, to drive the production systems, to use the encoder, to take the decoder out to the monitors. And all of this stuff is kind of playing together in an environment. And you have obviously very sophisticated pieces of equipment that are going to drive that LED display wall. You have very sophisticated equipment that is going to drive the production with the TriCaster. And now you're simplifying that and hooking up a little NDI decoder on the back of the TV to solve the solution to get that game clock into the locker rooms where it needed to be. It's really phenomenal how flexible these systems could be.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's all about knowing what you're encoding and what you're decoding. Because as long as you know that, you know how to get something from here to there, and it's all over your network. So there's so much opportunity that you have in front of you with NDI.
No, absolutely. That's great. And like you said, it was a quick solution and an easy solution, taking advantage of the infrastructure that was in place, plugging into the data port, and pretty much getting everything you need. Now, if we can get the game clock running into a locker room, we can use NDI to set up a monitor anywhere and to monitor different video sources all throughout the stadium, right?
Yeah, NDI tools is such a powerful thing that is just accessible to anybody out there. Like, we don't realize sometimes that we're all working on an NDI decoder every day. Right. It's our laptop, our computers. You download NDI tools, and you can use that to monitor any one of your NDI sources. So a lot of the times I run into situations where, let's say, the PA announcer or somebody is like, hey, I want to be able to watch the game feed, but I don't have a monitor in this room. Well, you have a laptop right in front of you. We can set up and put NDI tools right on there, and I can show you any one of your cameras that you want. I can show you the program feed. I can help you create a multi-view, of whatever cameras you want. There's some great multi-view software out there. The down and dirty way is just to put up multiple NDI studio monitors up and show whatever cameras you want in there. So it's a great tool just to monitor. I got a call a couple months ago from down in Lakeland Flying Tigers. We put in some cameras in there for the production cameras, and we also put the same cameras in for their player development to use. And someone came on site and was like, hey, how do I monitor? Can I see these cameras? I'm over here in this little office. How do I just quickly? I was like, dude, let's just put NDI tools on your computer, pop it right up. You can see any of those feeds. So it's used for all sorts of different purposes, but just having NDI tools on your laptop is really, really powerful.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things you notice, and maybe more so in the sports market versus anything else out there, is when you make that video source available, more and more people will find creative things to do with that video footage. Yeah, content is king. If I can get that camera, and that one, now all of a sudden they want all three plus three more, right?
Yeah, exactly. We've done so many different creative ways. I think the last time Sports Stream, you have a chance to watch that, we talked about using green screens and setting up, NDI PTZ cameras in a room and having a green screen up so you can use it anytime that you want. There's so many different opportunities with NDI when it comes to just creating a source, using that NDI signal and send it to any destination that you want. Very, very powerful.
That's awesome. Matt, thank you so much for sharing some of these stories with us today. It's definitely one of the things I look forward to most when we do these segments is to talk to system integrators like yourself, find out how the tools are being used out there in the real world, and how you're pushing the limits and really
Mhm.
taking advantage of not only the tools available to you, but obviously your experience and expertise. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more about any of the sports production stuff we talked about, event production, Visua deals with a ton of different stuff in all sorts of different spaces. You can reach out to Matt and his team. You can go to the website at visua.us or give him a call at 866-847-8228. Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I look forward to it every year and can't wait to next.
Awesome. Make sure you tune in to see all the content at ndinovember.com. If you are seeing this on social media, go to ndinovember.com and register today for your access to win any of the great prizes given away all month long. Until next time, cheers.